Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and Happy New Year! Allow me to welcome you to a brand new Pokemon challenge. Last time I took the challenge of seeing if I could beat Pokemon Black using only a single Ordino, and I recall the ending being particularly brutal. It's a brand new year though, and we kick off 2023 with the first challenge of Starter Month, as I see if I can beat Pokemon Crystal using just a single Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur, Pokemon number 001. This isn't a bad base stat total actually. 318 across everything, with 130 of those points being in our special attack and defence. Everything else is just about par for the course for a first form Pokemon. 318 is actually the same as Chikorita and Turtwig. We are dual grass and poison and are weak to flying, fire, psychic and ice. We resist fighting, water, grass and electric. Move-wise, we get a lot of grass-type moves, with several status moves, including 2 powders, Leech Seed, Sweet Scent and Growth, the latter of which could be useful. Razor Leaf will probably be our go-to move for a good chunk of the game, but that's risky because it always feels like it misses way more than a 95% accuracy move would suggest. Via TM, we get some coverage in the form of Headbutt, Return, Mud Slap and Fury Cutter, plus Hidden Power. There's also Giga Drain, but it's not until the post-game, so that's not going to help us too much. I'm shocked we cannot learn Sludge Bomb via TM, but no point crying over it. Predictions. Johto is not kind to grass types, so it's why I picked Bulbasaur for this. We have a Flying Gym, a Bug Gym, a Ghost/Poison Gym, Steel, Ice and Dragon, so it's probably not going to be a smooth ride. Take your pick on which one we might struggle with. The Elite Four, particularly Will and Karen, won't be easy. Lance uses 6 flying type Pokemon, so that should be a laugh. I think we might be able to beat Blue, but Red will probably be just that bit too much for us. I think we'll have issues with this Charizard and Espeon. The rules. In combat, I can only use Bulbasaur. Other Pokemon will be needed for HMs, but unable to fight. Only held items and Pokeballs in battle, but I can heal outside of battle. Last of all, no glitches or exploits. If you do enjoy what you see, like, subscribe and ring that bell. Right, let's do this then. Let's get this party started. It might well not surprise you that I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Chikorita with Bulbasaur, so that I can do the whole run with it. I picked to replace Chikorita so that the rival would have Cyndaquil, the hardest for us to fight. There's an argument that Bulbasaur is a lot better than Chikorita though, thanks to the poison type that we get no sort of attacking advantage from, attacking wise, in this game. I nicknamed Bulbasaur Seedmon and we set off on our way. I do a bit of training on the way to Mr. Pokemon's house because surely we'll need it at the start of the game. We are at a disadvantage in the first few gyms, so we'll need to eke out every bit of strength that we can. I fight my way around the routes, even getting the mystery egg from the north of Cherry Grove, and then it's time to fight the rival. Boo! The fight goes well, as first we fire a Leech Seed at his Cyndaquil to gain passive health recovery back through the fight, even as we get hit with Leer. Then we miss a tackle, but after all that, it is a simple task just to exchange tackles over the duration of the fight. Thanks to our level lead, our tackles do way more than his do, and eventually, in addition to chip damage, we take it out to get a win. I arrive in Violet City, and after doing a bit of exploring and training at the ruins of Alph, I'm ready to take on Faulkner for the first badge. We are weak to the type, and although Faulkner isn't particularly tough, it doesn't do to go in unprepared. I don't lose to him often in this gen, but it is moderately humiliating when I do. First up is his Pidgey, and we 2-hit it with Tackle, the second one being a crit, while it hits us with a crit tackle of its own. Cheers, pal! Pidgeotto knows Gust, and this is dangerous. I call for a Leech Seed and then a Poison Powder in quick succession, so that we are inflicting a ton of passive damage on it every turn, as well as getting a little bit of health back. Gust does like 10 points of damage, so it's not like we can tank them endlessly. By the time we're set up, Pidgeotto is weak enough from the damage over time that we can down it with Tackle and Vine Whip for a win. I head south from Violet City and fight my way down the route. I get the training in because it's the Bug Gym next, and that could be pretty rough. So then, Starter Month. It seemed an appropriate themed month for the start of the year. I mentioned it briefly at the end of the last video, but every month this year, the Pokemon used in challenges will have something in common. So, can you guess what they all have in common in Starter Pokemon Month? Yeah, I was originally going to do Baby Pokemon Month this year to kick it off, but I've moved that until later in the year. Probably April, I think. Anyway, after I clear Team Rocket out of the Slowpoke well in Azalea Town, it's time for the second gym already, and I go after Bugsy, curious to see what happens. We have built up a bit of a level advantage, so I figure we might be in with a chance. Bug is neutral to us after all. Metapod is first, and it doesn't take much damage from our tackle attacks, though it does miss a string shot on us. Thankfully, its own tackle doesn't do too much damage to us, and we soon take it out. Kakuna is next, and our first tackle crits, which is handy, doing about 2/3 of its health in damage. It goes to Harden, which isn't good, so I take a chance to finish it with a crit Razor Leaf. Cypher is last, and it doesn't surprise me that it is faster than us. We go for the Leech Seed and Poison Powder combo, which manages to do some solid damage to it before starting to hit tackles. It cycles through Fury Cutters on us, doing a massive damage over time, but we managed to hold out longer than it to take it out and gain the win. That could have gone wrong quickly. I am glad it didn't know a flying move. Before we can leave town, we have a fight with the rival, and this could be somewhat tricky. All of his Pokemon resist our stab, which isn't ideal. Ghastly and Quilava regular resisting grass, Zubat quad resisting it. But we will just have to power on through. At least this isn't as bad as runs where we only have Mud Slap to hit the Ghastly. The said Ghastly is a 2-hit with Razor Leaf, missing a Hypnosis in exchange, which is a good thing. It can be irritating at this point in the game, that Pokemon. Quilava is a 4-hit, but does massive damage to us with the 3 embers it does land, doing about 15 points of health a hit. 2 tackles, sandwiching 2 Razor Leaf attacks, do take it down. Figures I wouldn't get a crit on that move when I really needed it. Last is Zubat, and we are weak, but it can't really hurt us with Bite, and we do take it out with 2 tackle attacks. We all know what comes next. It's time for Whitney and her Satanic Cow. Yay oh yay. I do get the Headbutt TM while in the Ilex Forest because it's an upgrade on tackle in every single way possible. I can't get returned for another few days because it's Thursday at the time of writing and recording. So yeah, I'm a few days away from that. Whitney is traditionally quite an annoying fight, and we see it again here. We missed 2 Razor Leaf attacks on Clefairy at the start, getting hit with Double Slap and a Metronome created Cross Chop to lose some health. We do eventually land a Razor Leaf and a Headbutt to drop it, but that took way too long, and Clefairy is normally the easier one. Miltank is her usual aggravating self. We hit her with a Headbutt and a Mud Slap for minimal damage, all while she keeps landing rollouts. We hit a Razor Leaf, but it doesn't KO, and she drops us with the 4th rollout. Okay, that was irksome. Let's try that one more time, because I think it can totally be done at this level. Anyway, the next attempt is something that starts a lot better, but slowly boils into farce as the fight goes on. There is a point where I do get worried, and turns out I needn't have been in the end. Clefairy gets hit by our Razor Leaf, but survives before going for Metronome and only ending up with a Swords Dance. We drop it with a Headbutt to garner a win quickly. Miltank starts to spin into rollout once again, and our Razor Leaf does less than half. I fire a Mud Slap at it to drop it below the half health mark, putting it on yellow. The rollout misses, but so does our Razor Leaf, and she starts to spam Milk Drink over and over. Each Razor Leaf crashing into it while she heals on the next turn to take her back up to roughly where she was before health-wise. This is incredibly annoying, but I stay patient knowing that something has to give eventually, and soon Razor Leaf crits to give us the win. While I am in Ecruteak City, here's Bulbasaur trivia. This is the only starter Pokemon family to also have the Poison type, which is pretty cool. When traded with an English name, Bulbasaur ran foul of the censors on the Global Trade Station in Gen 5. The island of Nijuwe in the South Pacific released a $1 coin with Bulbasaur on it as commemoration. In Gen 2, it is programmed to be able to learn Charm through breeding, but none of its potential parents can learn it legitimately as a move to pass it down, though this was fixed in later gens as being able to chain breed it from Shroomish in Gens 3 and 4, and directly from Cottony in Gen 5 onwards. Now, I do have to fight the rival while I'm in town. In Crystal, it won't let me do the Ghost Gym until I do, maybe because of the emphasis on releasing Suicune for the story. I don't know. I figure I might head on over to the Lake of Rage to get the Hidden Power TM first and see what that gives me. I drop a save state and learn Hidden Power, curious as to what it will give me. It's always a sense of anticipation when this happens. We face a Noctowl and I try the move, but it does not very effective damage, which is a bit of a downer since it means it's probably either bug or grass then. Ah, nuts. Neither of those types does us any good, so we reset and go back to Critique. I do head into the Burn Tower and set about the rival fight, despite getting attacked by Zubat every 3 seconds. I suppose I should buy some repels. His first Pokemon is Haunter, and it survives our Mud Slap before ending itself with Curse, putting us somewhat on a timer. Quilava is next, and it survives our Headbutt before hitting Ember, which does massive damage in conjunction with the Curse. We take it out with a second Headbutt though. Magnemite goes down to a single Mud Slap, thankfully, before Zubat is last, and we down it with our Headbutt for a win. I just want it on the record that I am not confident about Morty. I will say that. I mean, I will make a try on him and see how this goes, but I don't think we'll be able to beat him at this point. I have been wrong before though. I guess we really will have to see what happens. I'm not prepared for what does happen because I've never really seen anything like this before. Ghastly survives Mud Slap but misses Lick. We take it out with a second Mud Slap. Haunter survives Mud Slap but also misses its attack, meaning we take it out at the second attempt. Gengar is a free hit with Mud Slap but misses Hypnosis twice, which is really making my jaw drop in shock at this point. I know Hypnosis is inaccurate, but this is pushing it a bit. Last is the second Haunter, who survives our Mud Slap but lands Spite to drain the last of the move's PP. I take it out with Razor Leaf instead to give us badge number 4. I cross the sea to Siamwood City and do the Usine fights while I'm here, just to get me warmed up ahead of the fighting gym. Might as well. Let's see how respected he is by Suicune when we beat him. Drowsy is first and we take it down with a Headbutt. That's one down. Haunter is second, it survives Mud Slap and then misses Lick as a result, meaning we can take it down with a second Mud Slap before Electrode is last. I'm not sure what he's going for with his team composition here. It hits 2 rollouts, surviving our Razor Leaf in the process before we finish it with Mud Slap. It's time for Chuck then. Let's see what he's got for us. Traditionally, this fight is never that bad unless you're using something that's either weak to water or fighting type. And the good news here is that Bulbasaur is neither, so, in theory, we are pretty well set up for facing him. We should be able to take Poliwrath down pretty easily, so that just leaves the Primeape, which shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so this doesn't exactly go to a plan. Primeape is a 2-hit with Headbutt, but does land a Leer on us, which turns out to be more problematic than I thought. We take it down before facing Poliwrath. Both of these Pokemon have cool crystal animations, I will say. Poliwrath survives Razor Leaf though and then lands Dynamic Punch, which does more damage than expected. Worse though, we hit ourselves twice in confusion and combined with a second Dynamic Punch, that wrecks us for a loss. So that's unfortunate then. I try again. I was unlucky before, but it's not like I'm going to get that unfortunate twice. Here, we strike Primeape with Razor Leaf and it survives, which I kinda expected, before hitting 3 Fury Swipes. It's not an issue though, as we down it with Headbutt. Poliwrath is next and I strike it with another Razor Leaf, though again, there's no crit and it survives, of course. This time though, it misses Hypnosis and I crash into it with Headbutt for a win. Aim for the convenient target on its chest, I guess. I schleb all the way back to Olivine City because it's time for the Jasmine fight. Now, I'm actually more worried about the Magnemite here if I'm honest, because being paralysed by Thunder Wave might create an issue. But Steelix, it has a low special defence and takes neutral damage from Razor Leaf, which has a pretty good chance of critting. I'm not worried about that at all. I just need to get into a position where we can beat it. Anyway, we get lucky this time. This is Magnemite 1, it survives our Mud Slap, but fails with Thunder Wave to my relief as we down it with a second Mud Slap. Steelix is next, and this time I call for Razor Leaf, which crashes into it. That move does slightly over half, not dropping it into the range where she will heal it. She misses an Iron Tail, because of course, and then we finish it with another Razor Leaf. The second Magnemite is last, it survives Mud Slap again, but this time lands Thunder Wave instead. I suddenly expect the fight to become irritating, where Bulbasaur gets paralysed for 6 turns in a row, but she misses Sonic Boom, and then we drop it with another Mud Slap. 6 badges down then. Once I get the Lake of Rage stuff out of the way, it's then Gym 7 time. See, here's the thing about Price. Yes, we might be weak to ice, but all 3 of his Pokemon are weak to grass. So if we can land 3 Razor Leaf attacks in a row, I think we're probably golden right here. Piloswine, I think, has low special stats, so we'll probably shred it. I know for a fact Swinub has low special defense. Anyway, Seal gets shredded by Razor Leaf in the first exchange. A pattern that continues throughout the fight as Dewgong comes out and we also shred it hard with the same move to put it down. Piloswine goes about as well as predicted, it doesn't stand a chance and we take it out with our leaves. It's Radio Tower takeover time then, and this seems as good a time as any to talk about what's ongoing with the channel. So, in the week just gone, we've had the first week of 2023. At time of writing, I have no idea how it's going to have played out for the world. More of the same, I guess. So, in the week just gone, we had part 11 of the playthrough of Skyward Sword, where I finished out the Fire Temple and did the boss. I did have to start recording more episodes of that because I was running out of my backlog. There was also episode 3 of the playthrough of Resident Evil 1 Remake, where we carried on hunting for the death masks. As well, because it's still ongoing, episodes 22 through 25 of the playthrough of Pokemon Violet. There were 2 gym battles and 2 titans in there, so plenty to be going at. Challenge-wise, last week we went through Pokemon Black with a single Ordino, ushering in a revival where I will be going back to trying to do 1 DS era themed challenge a month minimum. It depends on the game. Here, on Starter Pokemon Month, we're currently doing Crystal with a single Bulbasaur. I don't know why I'm telling you that again by this point. Next week is Pokemon Emerald with a single Charmander. The week after, you know what, I'll tell you. Pokemon Platinum with a single Squirtle. The week after that is a secret for now, but it is in a game I've not done a challenge run in before. And that should take us into February, which will be Rock-type month. It will also have the 75th challenge in that month. As always, if you have any ideas for future challenges, drop them in the comments section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Looking forward to hearing any ideas you might have. Also, I've sort of loosely been toying with doing a Q&A video since this channel has been going for a while now and it's a chance to give something back. Obviously, with that in mind, I do need questions, so if you have any, then throw them in and I'll see about that somewhere down the line. Also as well, if you do want to support the channel beyond simply watching, there's a Patreon link in the description too. But if you don't want to, then the fact you're here and watching is enough for me. So, once again, thank you very much. Before long, after clearing through the first section of the radio tower, it's time to fight the rival in the Goldenrod Underground and see how we do here. I think we'll win, but how close a fight it might be is up for debate. His team is set up pretty well to counter grass types. Golbat is first and we throw a headbutt at it. It survives, but we get the flinch, which I'm grateful for, and we down it with another headbutt. Quilava is next and I hit it with a headbutt, only to not get a flinch this time, and it hits us with Flame Wheel for decent damage. We take it out at the second attempt with our head. Magnemite is third and it goes down to Mud Slap, which is good. Haunter survives Mud Slap though, but it does take itself out with Curse to give us a 4th knockout. Sneasel is last and it survives our headbutt, prompting damage from Curse and a feint attack before we down it with another headbutt. Whew, smooth. That could have gone worse. Since he uses 2 fire types, I'll do the final executive fight. Screw it, Archer. Let's call him Archer in the radio tower. He begins with a Houndour, and when Seedmon faces it, we drop it with a headbutt for a quick knockout. Coughing is next, and this survives headbutt and hits us with Sludge. I am glad we are immune to being poisoned in this game. We drop it with a Razor Leaf on the next turn. We take Houndoom out next with a headbutt and a Mud Slap, thanks to a lucky flinch, which means we don't have to face its firepower. There are a lot of battles and a lot of travelling now before the face-off in the Dragon Gym with Claire, and I'm not looking forward to this. I don't think we're going to be able to one-hit her Dragonairs, and this is proven in the gym trainer fights. At least, not with headbutt anyway, but unfortunately, it's about the best we get right now. Except, that statement's not actually true, as by the time I get to this point, by the time I need to fight Claire, it is Sunday, and I can go and get return from Goldenrod City. That's something to do at 2 AM on New Year's Day, huh? Anyway, Claire, we begin with our new move, Return, to take the first Dragonair out with a single hit. Boom! The second Dragonair survives return. Oh no! And then hits us with Ice Beam for strangely meagre damage. Thankfully, not getting the freeze. We finish it with Mud Slap. The third Dragonair is a one hit with return once again. Very weird damage range. Kingdra is last. We hit it with a Razor Leaf for just under half its health and it counters with a crit Surf. I do not fancy our chances of surviving a Hyper Beam from this range, so I go for a Synthesis to get some health back. Unfortunately, we get paralysed on the next turn by Dragon Breath, the first of two such attacks, before we do take it out with return. 8 badges down. Kinda. We've got Claire's side mission yet. Anyway, it's off to Kanto we go, so that I can work my way to the Pokemon League and into Victory Road ahead of the rival fight. I'm always terrified of a knockout during this fight because I have like 3 HM slaves in my party and it'll take ages to respawn if Seedmon goes down. Now on the subject of that rival fight, let's go try it. He begins with Sneasel and we down it with return. He goes into Golbat, we down it with return. So far so good. He goes into Kadabra and it goes down to return before he brings out the Typhlosion. This one actually survives return but fails with Smokescreen and we finish it with Mud Slap. Magneton is next and survives Mud Slap but fails with Thunder Wave before we down it with a second Mud Slap. Haunter is last. I fire a Mud Slap at it but it survives quite hardly and hits us with Confuse Ray. This could be bad. Thankfully, we fight through the confusion and end it with another Mud Slap. Woo! Into the Indigo Plateau I go, and here are my stats as I stand here at level 63. They're pretty consistent throughout, I think you'll find. All quite close together. Attack, defence and speed are almost equal. Special stats are evenly matched. Very weird that. It's time for the Elite Four. I'm not sure how I'll do here, but take your guesses on if I can do this at this level or not. Now! Psychic Trainer Will is first, and this could be an interesting fight, given he has many means of hitting us with super effective damage. All we can do is try, I guess. I am a little worried, and I have a right to be, as we begin the fight. We cannot one-hit the Xatu, which is worrying, and we get hit with Confuse Ray and Psychic, which does massive damage in conjunction with us hitting ourselves. We do take it out eventually, but it is not pleasant. Jinx is at least a one-hit with return, but he brings the second Xatu out, and again, we can't one-hit it, and it downs us with a Psychic attack. Okay, well, I didn't expect the wall to come that soon. I go and grind a few more levels, just so that we hit harder. I make another try at level 66. I want the levels because I don't think this will be as hard as it gets, if you pardon the lame pun. I'll see how we do here. The first Xatu goes down to a crit return, which isn't helpful for gauging how things are because I need to know our damage ranges. Jinx is still one hit with return, but the second Xatu survives return on a sliver and blasts us with Psychic for big damage. He heals it, we hit it with Razor Leaf and return to down it. Executor is next, it survives return and we duly get wrecked by a crit Psychic. Oh dear. While I am grinding some more, let's talk about the challengers here. Will does super effective damage to us. Koga resists us strongly. I don't think we have anything that can seriously hurt his Fortress. Bruno probably won't be too bad, but Karen is always tricky. Plus, she has some stuff that does resist us, as well as some stuff that can hurt us back. And while Lance might be a joke sometimes, I do not think he will be here. So, I'm going to fire up to level 70 and see what happens then. Okay, so at level 70, I make the choice to go again. I didn't know there were Rhydons in Victory Road in Crystal, by the way. Let's do this and see how it plays out this time. This time goes exceptionally better, as thanks to the training, we're capable of dishing out some one-hit knockouts. The first Xatu goes down to return. Jinx also goes down to return, and the second Xatu is lamped out in the same fashion. Executor narrowly survives return and hits us with Psychic for big damage, but we finish it with a crit Razor Leaf before that very same move takes down the Slowbro in the final round of the fight. Okay, one down. Poison Trainer Koga is next, and this one could be awkward. Again, if we can deal some one-hit knockouts with return, we should be fine. I'm dreading Fortress, Muck and Crobat though, because I think we'll struggle versus those. This does actually go better than expected, as we begin versus Ariados and Julie one-hit it with return. That one wasn't my concern. Venomoth I'm also not worried about, and we down it with return. Crobat is next and we hit it with return while it goes for double team. That's not good that it survived, especially as Koga heals it and we have to hit it twice more to down it. Thankfully, we don't miss our returns. Next is Forretress, who I fire a couple of mud slaps at. Not because it does a massive damage, but I'm pretty sure it has the capability to explode, and I wouldn't mind that move missing if it goes through it. With 2 mud slaps hitting it, I go on the Razor Leaf offensive, hitting it with 3 of those moves to take it down. 2 of those attacks being crits, which helped no end. Last is Muck, it survives return and goes for minimise. I am gambling here, I know it, but I want to conserve return PP and fire a Razor Leaf at it, which miraculously connects and knocks it out to give us the win. Bruno is next, moving swiftly on. Now, I'm sure it'll not be as simple as that. Just because he's normally the easiest one doesn't mean we're going to have an easy time of it. Right? Let's do it. Hitmon top gets shredded with a Razor Leaf to give us an early knockout before the Hitmonchan comes out next, and once again we fire a Razor Leaf at it. It survives and clocks us with Fire Punch, which could do worse damage. We miss a Razor Leaf, get hit with another Fire Punch and take it out with a 3rd Razor Leaf. It is nice to be able to use our stab moves, I'll say that. Hitmonlee goes down to a single Razor Leaf before Machamp is next. I don't think we'll one-hit it with Razor Leaf, so I soften it up with a few Mud Slaps, which has the bonus of wrecking its accuracy, and it misses 3 cross chops throughout the fight. Mind you, that move does have trash accuracy anyway. It survives our Razor Leaf, he heals it, and we have to wear it down again to give us that win. Last is his Onix, and we Razor Leaf it down for a win. Karen then, and I am dreading this one, I will say. I'm worried about every single one of her Pokemon and what they can do to us. I was thinking of targeting Umbreon's special defense, but that's not going to do me a lot of favours. I misclick and fire a Mud Slap at Umbreon at the start of the fight by mistake for meagre damage, but it does work in my favour as it misses both Sand Attack and Confuse Ray, so that was pretty lucky, I'll be honest. We take it out with 2 returns. Houndoom is next and it narrowly survives return to hit us with Flamethrower for half our health in damage, which isn't good. She heals it, I take it down with Mud Slap and return. Vileplume is next and it narrowly survives return and then hits us with Stun Spore, which costs us the fight. I try to take it out with Razor Leaf at low health, but it starts spamming Moonlight, prompting me to have to use another return PP. Gengar is next, it outspeeds and hits Curse, then has the temerity to survive our Mud Slap, meaning we take damage from Curse. Its Spite lands, we fire our last Mud Slap PP into Gengar to knock it out. We are weak as we go into Murkrow, we survive Feint Attack, but the paralysis costs us and we can't hit it with return, meaning we go down to Curse damage. That was way too close. I think we need to be a little stronger. If we want it Houndoom and Vileplume, this is a very different fight. I grind up a few more levels and then fight my way back to Karen. I'm not too upset I wiped because I used a lot of PP in that attempt and I don't want to waste restores on failed attempts. So, if I'm stronger, I should use less PP. I go into the Elite Four at level 75, I'm 76 by the time I get back to her. This doesn't go better and we get screwed up by Umbreon at the start. It is a 2-hit return, but it does hit us with Sand Attack, which isn't ideal. Houndoom, we miss a return on and get hit with Flamethrower before we down it. It did do less damage, but it still could have been better. Vileplume still survives return on Sliver and misses Stun Spore, but we take it out with Razor Leaf. Gengar is last. We miss 3 Mud Slaps over the course of the fight and it shows. It takes out a good chunk of its own health with Curse. We do put it on red health with Mud Slap, but we just cannot land the finishing blow and we are screwed when it paralyses us with Lick, meaning we wipe. I come back at level 80. I make a few tries. On the first one, 2 Sand Attacks from Umbreon doom us as we can't land a blow on Houndoom. A second attempt goes very similar as we miss too many blows and take too much damage. A third attempt, though, goes pretty well as we 2-hit Umbreon with return, but get sprayed with the Sand Attack. On the next round, we down Houndoom with a single return before we do the same thing to Vileplume. Versus Gengar, we hit 2 Mud Slaps to down it in conjunction with it using Curse, but that damage is something I need to be aware of. We finally miss a return on Murkrow, But we've got enough health to eat the curse damage, as well as tanking a feint attack, and we land our return at the second attempt to win. Lance then. I don't know how we'll do here, but I guess we'll find out. Again, that risk of paralysis is there, given at least one of his Dragonite knows Thunder Wave. We begin the fight, and he starts with Gyarados. We hit it with a Razor Leaf, it survives and then goes for Rain Dance. We down it with another Razor Leaf. Charizard coming in now would be the best possible thing because the rain would suppress its fire, but he goes for Dragonite. It survives our return just and then hits Thunder Wave and Blizzard in quick succession before we down it with another return. Aerodactyl is a 2-hit with Razor Leaf, but it hits us with Wing Attack and Hyper Beam before we face Charizard. The rain has stopped by this point, it does outspeed us and ends us with Flamethrower. We weren't that far away from one-hitting Dragonite with return, so I grind a few more levels and come back. I get back to Lance at level 87 and I figure it's now or never. We have to do this at this level. He begins with Gyarados and we start in the best way possible by missing Razor Leaf. He goes for Rain Dance, our next Razor Leaf lands for big damage, but he survives and hits us with Flail before we take it out on the next turn. We still cannot one-hit Dragonite with return, but it fails with Thunder Wave, which is massive, and we take it out with a second return. Aerodactyl is a one-hit with Razor Leaf before Charizard is next. That is also a one-hit with return, to my huge relief, and then he brings out his level 50 Dragonite, the one which knows Fire Blast. It survives return, but only goes for Outrage, which we can tank all day, thanks to our high special defense. We take it out with a second return. The last Dragonite emerges, it survives our return, then does the ultimate cheap trick and paralyses us with Thunder Wave, which seems a bit redundant at this point. It strikes us with Hyper Beam and we fight off paralysis to end it with return. With Lance down, I breathe a huge sigh of relief because I've just become the champion. We enter the Hall of Fame and then watch the credits roll. That is the bulk of the work done. It's not over yet though, as we have the Kanto post-game to do and the fights with Blue and Red. The former shouldn't be an issue, but I would be worried about the latter. Most of the Kanto gym leaders are standard fodder, so I blitz through them until it's time to face Blue in the Viridian City gym. I've got a few new tricks by then as we stroll in at level 94. Pidgeot is up first and we down it with a crit return, which is fortunate because I don't know if we one-hit otherwise. Alakazam is a one-hit with return and Arcanine is next. This one survives return and hits a crit flamethrower that wipes out a massive amount of our health. Thankfully, he heals it next turn. We fire a Mud Slap and a return at it to end it as a viable threat, gaining HP recovery with the leftovers. Gyarados is next and I hit it with Giga Drain to restore a stack of HP before it hits an insipid Hydro Pump for minimal damage. Our next Giga Drain downs it. Executor is a 2-hit with return, trying to hit us with Leech Seed in exchange. What an idiot! I'm pretty sure we're immune. Last is Rhydon and I down it with Giga Drain. That's 16 badges down. So, Red then. I'm not confident, but I will make a few tries. I do have the double team TM as an option just in case, so there is that. I'd rather not go down that route, but given the trouble the back end of the game has been, I'd rather have a resolution. We don't actually do bad first attempt. We can outspeed Pikachu and one-hit it with return. Pikachu is dangerous since it knows Charm. Espeon survives return and throws up Reflect, however, we take it out with a crit Razor Leaf. I am expecting Charizard next, but it's Snorlax. We hit a crit Razor Leaf, but it goes for Amnesia, meaning we're screwed for inflicting special damage. I fire a few Mud Slaps at it to try and wreck its accuracy, but it hits a crit Body Slam. The Reflect does go down eventually. We hit it with return, but it just about survives and hits another Body Slam that puts us on red health. I finish it with Giga Drain to get some health back. Venusaur is next, I'm not sure why. It hits us with a weak Solar Beam and we take it out with 2 returns, sandwiching a Mud Slap. 5th is Charizard and our return does less than half and we promptly get downed by Flamethrower. I'm going to max out our levels and then make another try at this, because that actually was closer than I thought it would be. Here are our stats at level 100. They're better than what we usually get, so I guess we'll just have to see. I'll make a few tries, and if it doesn't go well, I'll replace Mud Slap with Double Team and try it that way. Anyway, on the very first try, this happens. We down Pikachu with Return, that's not in doubt. When it comes to Espeon, it once again survives Return, but this time goes for Psychic instead for big damage. We survive hardly though and finish it with Giga Drain. Because I know Snorlax is likely going to go for Amnesia, I hit a Giga Drain beforehand. It does about a quarter of its health and we do get a massive recovery before I then hit it with Return. It does land a Body Slam, but thankfully it doesn't paralyse us and we down it with another Return. Venusaur is next. It still takes less than half its health from Return, but goes for Sunny Day. Ooh, that's not good. I hit a Mud Slap to try and evade the Solar Beam, but it hits and we finish it with Return. Charizard is next. I have a decent amount of health. Can I survive a Sun Boosted Flamethrower? Return does more than half. We survive the Flamethrower, I win. The Flamethrower puts us on red health and our next Return finishes Charizard off. And I immediately call for a Giga Drain on Blastoise to recover as much health as I can, because I know a Blizzard is coming our way and I want to survive it. Thankfully, Blizzard misses, as it usually does in my experience, and we take Blastoise down with another Giga Drain to get the knockout and win the run. Whew, that was interesting. So, that was the challenge, and I wasn't sure I expected it to end how it did. I figured Red might be nigh on impossible without maybe using Double Team, but who'd have thought I'd have had more trouble with Karen? Oh well, I hope you enjoyed. If you have, you know what to do. Like, comment and subscribe. Help the channel grow. Down in the description of the video, there's links to my YouTube playlist, my Twitter, my Discord and my Patreon, if you want to check out the wider world of the channel. If you have any ideas for future challenges, then you've got those options as well as the comments section itself. Join me again this time next week for the second challenge of Starter Pokemon Month, as we see if I can beat Pokemon Emerald using just a single Charmander. Things clearly aren't going to get any easier with that, huh? How does a fire lizard cope in a region with way too much water? We will see, I guess. I am serious about that Q&A video, by the way, if anyone's interested. Enough interest, enough questions, and I'll do it. What's going on with me? It's that weird week after New Year where time feels like it's needing to come back into some sort of routine. No sort of New Year's resolution despite trying to drop some weight, I guess, because it feels like I've let myself go a bit over the last few months. So I need to stop eating crap mainly. Good luck with that one. I guess it's a frame of mind for me. I need to be fully focused. Back to work for the time being. Only another few weeks before I've got more holiday days thrown in, so yay there! And at time of writing, the new relationship is going well. So things are looking promising. I am going to stop here though. As always, this has been Once and Future Gamer. This has been Pokemon Crystal with a single Bulbasaur. And I will see you next time. Bye bye now.